There's two things that are true in life. That's death and taxes. And we are now being taxed more than ever before. The UK government has just implied on us £40 billion worth of tax rises. This is a big conversation. Today I've brought my accountant and fellow entrepreneurs and business owners to discuss just what that means for your business. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a big one. Well, hello campers. Welcome back to the business broadcast. This is a bit different, isn't it, JB?
It's an exciting one. We've got friends.
We've got friends.
Well, friends now.
Friends-ish.
Before we come on to those, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you feeling after Rachel Reeves has tried to pull your pants down?
Well, I've had a... I wish she would. I wish someone would. No, I don't mean I wish she has pulled my pants down, but just not in the way that I'd like it to be. We are here in Roller City in a different location. We're usually down that end, aren't we? We're now in the middle and we've got a big stage set up, which we haven't done for the podcast.
Which one? There's the Enrique Iglesias disco ball, because apparently that never turns off.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Which
that.
I'm sure you're delighted about with the electricity bills going
I'll
up.
speak to the owner. But behind us is a big stage because we've been doing a seminar today called Buying Businesses Masterclass. Guess what it's all about, JB?
I've got no idea.
It's about buying businesses.
It's a great tagline then.
I've had two people that have joined me for Buying Businesses today. This man over here, John Holliday.
Hello.
Who's my accountant from Pocknells. Hello, John.
Hello. How are you?
Sorry, John, we've got to give you your own
thank
round
you.
of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's enough of that.
And then one of my dear, great friends, James Martin.
Here he comes.
Thanks, JB. I knew you'd do something special.
Entrepreneur. Come on, who's not having a good time? Martin's loving it already.
Why are you called an entrepreneur, James Martin?
It's because I'm putting roots down everywhere. You know what it's like.
No, but your history. So you're an accountant. You're a podcast entrepreneur.
Loosely.
All sorts of entrepreneur. But you started your life as a tree surgeon, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. We had branches everywhere. It was great.
Oh, it's very good.
Here we
It's going to
go.
be the most overused button of the show.
No, and then you sold that business, didn't you?
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Still do that business. Still have that business going in the background.
Yeah.
Do you?
Going
I
out,
did not know that.
5 days a week. People going out doing tree surgery.
This is where I'm trying to big him up and saying he's more than a tree surgeon.
Yes,
All he's
and I'm
doing is
being
going back
coy.
to the tree surgery stuff.
We have commercial property, business parks, and a lovely luxury wedding venue.
There you go. That's where I had my wedding.
Baddow Park.
Yeah.
Baddow
Well,
Park.
I had
Baddow Park House.
the English part of the wedding was here, but actually James Martin came to my wedding in Santorini.
Oh, lovely.
And John, you was there, weren't you, to the English one?
Yeah.
I invited you.
Yeah,
you
didn't
bother
turn up.
coming.
No,
did
didn't
you?
bother coming.
And then you had the cheek to have a go at me many times on this podcast saying you didn't get an invite, and you bloody well did.
No, I did not get the invite. One was sent. I did not receive it.
Do you know what? He saw me crying at the end of the night. He said, "What's that?" I said, "Just where's JB? He's all I wanted here."
Oh.
There.
What about Nats? No.
No, she didn't care. So we are here. The reason I've brought these fellow chums with us is we're going to have a general chit chat. We're not doing the usual process of the show of bringing an entrepreneur in, because this podcast, this show, this particular one is about helping people understand. If we could be that metaphorical cuddle to entrepreneurs and business owners that I know that are seriously concerned about what these tax changes are going to mean for them here in the United Kingdom. John, you worked out, you've got, how many say, 55 staff, didn't you?
It's about 50, but yeah, 55.
You got 50 staff, and you've worked out the national insurance rise is about 80 grand more for you a year.
That's with the minimum wage as well, because we've got a lot of apprentices. Yeah. So ours is coming out about 80 grand.
So from April next year, John Holliday's accountancy practice needs to find another £80,000 a year to stand still to do the same profit numbers. So the choice is for you.
Charge James 80 grand more. Or
Good move. Go with that one.
Yeah, go with that one.
Go with that one.
But I think in your sector as an accountant, you can just put your prices up and people will weather it. You're in one of those sectors, aren't you?
We've got a lot of clients. So we've got about 4,500 clients. So it's not going to be,
You're not concerned. You can just deal with it.
Well, I don't like doing the price increases, and there will be pushback, and there will be, but I think everyone's going to have to put their prices up to a degrry. So,
but your sector can weather those storms. Accountants,
People
day
need
nurseries,
accountants, don't
people
they?
will pay the extra, won't they, if they need the service?
Yeah.
What about the other? Well, we'll come back to you. Did we just ask? What about clients going bust? Do you see more and more going to go bust in the next year? Have you got people in stressful situations?
there's definitely ones that are already on the brink, which is going to be hard for them to, with this news, it's probably going to make them wave the white flag maybe quicker than what they would have done otherwise. I mean, there's lots of other things, isn't there? It's not just the minimum wage and the NI that's caused the problems.
Well, we'll come on to the rest of
but
them.
I mean, I think combined, it's a chance where you might be saying, well, now's the time to give up, or now's the time to sell, or now's the time. So yeah, I think there is going to be more.
Is it going to put you off employing people, or you can just carry on doing as you are?
I've never employed anyone and not made profit out of them, which is probably a horrible thing to say. But I've never ever. The industry we're in, if we employ good people, they will inevitably get more work, do more work. And I think
we always talk about sectors and models on the pod in the usual format, and accountancy is one of those models and sectors where you can weather storms more. So that's NI from John Holliday.
Having said that, though, sorry, there's so much going on here, but also not only the model, but also the way that the model's been run in terms of 4,500 clients, you can nick another £100 per client and you'll be okay.
I don't think we'll have to do that much, but yeah, you're right. I mean,
whereas if you had a couple of clients and you were doing the same sort of turnover, if you have to say to them, right, we need another 80 grand out of you, that's a different conversation.
We've never really had big clients. We're very, I mean, our biggest clients are probably less than 1% of our turnover effectively, or maybe they're 2 or 3%, but they're not, we're not massively reliant on 1 or 2 big clients. So we're quite lucky in that.
I was thinking about that with Grant Thornton, who've been at Buying Businesses Masterclass today. They rely on a very active M&A market, don't they, to make that business tick. Well, surely if taxes go up, people will hold on to their businesses, wait 5 years, or they won't buy other companies. Do you think that might happen?
I don't know, because I guess if the problem's going to be how much it affects the bottom line. So the NI increase, if you're in a sector where you can't get the profit up or keep the profit the same by increasing the prices or cutting other costs, then effectively it will affect the exit, because you're not going to have the same bottom line. The reality is, though, obviously it's about but capital gains tax has gone up. I don't think that will put people off as much as the bottom line profit being affected in the M&A market.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
And I don't think they'll wait, James, will they? They won't wait those 5 years, because they're going to be baby boomers that are wanting to sell in their 60s, and they'll once they've made their mind up, they're going out.
We'll come on to selling your business and capital gains in a second. I'd love to get panel's opinion, but just quickly going on to your point, James Martin, what about the NI on Baddow Park House wedding venue and your tree?
£32,000 is going to make the difference.
And so you just carry on as normal, and you just got to
carry on as normal. We just have to make different changes with some of the products that we offer. So we're now doing twilight weddings that we've never done before, but we'll do that just to get some more business in.
Will you do deals? Are you going to discount your price?
No, not on the main product of a 4-day wedding, but we're doing ceremony-only weddings that we'll just bring in. They're done on a Monday and a Tuesday. Well, we don't do anything on a Monday and Tuesday. So the team have come up with ways of actually bringing in extra revenue.
Does it put you off employing more people?
No, if the work's there, we employ new people. Okay, good people.
What about you, JB? And I worried about it? I mean,
No, I just got rid of everybody. So I'm in a great place.
One, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, would it put you off employing more people?
I'm coming at it from a very different place from everybody else sitting here, because I would have to be, it's going to be 2 or 3 at a time. So it's not a big issue for us. But we have, in the last week, though, I have put prices up.
One thing to remember as well is obviously they increased the employer's NIC allowance as well. So for probably people under 5 employees, it's probably not affected them a great deal.
Yeah, I think it's under 4, isn't it? That
it probably is about 4 or 5 where the break even comes on, depending on what you're paying people.
What about have they worked out if you've got 10 companies and they've all got 5? Yeah,
so there's associated company rules. But the one thing that is quite good, even you're going to get the 10,000 now. So you would never have got that before. So you can knock 10,000 off your.
Sorry, explain that to me, John.
So there used to be a cap that if you had, I think it's 100,000 PAYE, you couldn't claim the employer's NIC allowance, and they've scrapped that now. So they've said that any business can claim this 10,000 employer's NIC allowance.
So I want to get 10,000 off.
Only on one company.
Only on one company.
Don't get too excited.
But I've got an extra 2.4 million is what I've worked it out.
They gave you 10 grand, didn't they? What's the matter with you?
2.3900 now. So. He's like the fairy godfather, isn't he? Delivering
But this is where it is a big problem for people that have got businesses that employ lots of people, like me right now. And I wrote this in the James Sinclair Letter the other week. For me, it's a material amount of money. So if we make 2.5 million of EBITDA and I now have another 2.4 million of costs, and then I've got to service my loans, I've got to invest in my business.
I think that's the thing. I think when you say to people, I make 2.4 million EBITDA, it sounds really, really good. But what people don't realise is you are servicing a lot of loans, aren't you, as well? That's what most businesses are doing. It's capital intensive businesses. So you know, if Rachel Reeves was listening, she'd probably say, well, it doesn't matter, James, because you made 2.4 million profit. So you could afford to do that, but you can't, because you've still got to service £1 million or whatever it is in finance costs.
And invest in your business.
And
You've
keep
got to
growing.
buy another lorry, another van. They don't last forever. You've got to buy a new computer. A new digger needs replacing, haven't it? You know?
But I think when people hear that those sort of profits, people say, it's all right, he can afford it, or he or she can afford it, but they can't really, because they're servicing all the loans, they're servicing all the HPs, they're servicing all the commercial mortgages or whatever debt's going through your balance sheet that isn't going through your P&L before you say your EBITDA number.
It's taxing growth. That's what it's actually doing. It's taxing growth of business people and entrepreneurs actually to move to the next level. You always talk about these, these solopreneurs. Well, they're going to stay solo. Because they're not going to move to the next level. Oh, we'll just keep it under 5. Just keep it under a cuddly 5, The
cleverest bit about it all, though, is as more the prices go up, the more VAT they collect as well. So when everyone puts their prices up by £2, £10, £100, it's the VAT that you're getting on that as well. Yeah. So the compound's huge. When you think every business is probably going to increase its prices now, the compound, it's not really 40 billion, it'd be more by the time
and
you
think
work
that's
out.
Their plan is to just erode debt. My biggest concern out of the whole budget that I don't understand why no one's really talking about is, could this stoke inflation again?
I think it will.
But
I mean, the gilt market's gone up, hasn't it? It's looking like interest rates. I don't know. Who knows? It's not really what I know about. But effectively, it looks like the gilt market's gone up. It looks like interest rates are going to hold or are going to increase. And that's going to, again, put more financial pressure on business owners to increase prices.
What, you think that interest rates might start going up again?
Well, they pulled all the 4% or whatever it was, 4.8% mortgages have all been pulled last week. So the mortgage companies aren't going low.
We need to change this to the motivation podcast, JB. We need to rebrand.
As opposed to the doom and gloom.
I'll shut up now.
Wow. I mean, that would finish lots of people off if interest rates and inflation get out of control.
Hopefully it won't. But I mean, the reality is the only way that businesses are going to be, I mean, how are you going to cope with a 2.4 million increase?
Just to help you to tout for a few clients and help build your business. And a lot of people will be going, I don't want to speak to Dr. Death.
No, because I will help them get over it. So.
There you go. That's his sales pitch. There you go. His marketing guy will be delighted with that.
Yeah, they will. They love that line.
Oh, that's so that, I think we've covered NI there. So what am I going to do? I think, because I employ lots of people.
So what's the numbers then? You've got to do another 2.4 million
Well, it gets worse than me. I've got to find 2.4 million if I stand still. Yeah. But then my business rates, because at the moment we're getting a 75% discount on retail, hospitality and leisure. That's reducing to 40%. But she actually went round Rachel Reeves and all the media around saying, good news, we're still going to give you 40% off, because you all thought you was going to be a cliff edge and get no discount. But that is material. Yeah. So if you've got £100,000 rateable value, you've got to find another 25, 30 grand, because the way they work rateable values out can be quite complicated, but it will be a material increase. So in April, you're going to have an increase to your business rates, an increase to your national insurance, and possibly inflation stoke at the same time. So your overhead, this could be a catalogue of errors that could really take some people out. So what am I doing? So I've got 2.5 million on extra on NI and national wage going up. I've also then, I think I worked out, it's £330,000 increase in my business rates bill. I'm hoping that interest rates come down, so that reduces all my interest payable on my loans. But just say that doesn't happen, it stays as it is. I need to get a canoe and a paddle and go up a certain creek that everyone knows about. What am I going to do about it? Well, I've either got to close some businesses down, let some people go, look for efficiencies. I actually think we're going to see a lot more of time efficiencies in the way businesses operate. Now, we're seeing this in farm parks and visitor attractions, a sector that I operate in. They all used to be 7-day-a-week businesses pre-COVID. More and more of them are weekends and school holidays now. But I actually think they will go events and school holidays. So rather than being over every weekend of the year, 52 weekends a year, they'll go down to 14 weekends of the year, because they'll go, we're only going to turn this on when we can really turn it on.
Wow, do you reckon that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I do. I think you'll see restaurants not opening Monday to Thursday. Yeah. I think it'll be weekends only. I think we'll start seeing this. I think you'll start seeing coffee shops closing Mondays and Tuesdays, and because they're going to have to. and they're going to lose some regular customers, but they're going to look at utility. I'm worried about utility costs going up again.
Well, they've gone up as well, haven't
Yeah,
they?
if they go up again as well, they're going to go, hang on a sec, to turn this coffee shop restaurant on, I'm going to have £300 a day on utilities if it's a big site.
Yeah.
I'm going to have extra staff. I've got all of these, things coming towards me. I'll reduce my operating hours. Now, if you looked back to the 1970s when we had a serious inflation spike then, and I mean, I wasn't around then, but you looked at 3-day bin operations and stuff like that. That sort of stuff actually happened here in the United Kingdom only 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm concerned about all that.
Or you could go and buy some more businesses that make more profit.
Well, that was then there is the opportunity.
Mr. Positivity here.
Well, I think the silver lining is lots of people will be giving up and you can go and buy some stuff. And I want to look at businesses that, I did talk to someone earlier about buying another day nursery, but which is lots of staff. But I want to buy businesses in the round where they are high revenue per employee, which is what you've got in effect.
Yeah, we've got that. And I mean, the thing is also for me, I know I say about increased prices, that might be one strategy. We'll probably go and win a load of new work as well, and we'll work on growing our business that way. So I think
but
when
you can't
times,
have an economy just with John Holliday and all his accounting
Why not?
chums. You need
I've
other
got a lot of
people.
alpacas to feed. I need to kind
No,
of.
but you do need a vibrant economy to be successful, don't you? We all do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, James Martin needs people to want to get married and have good jobs to keep going to get married. It works as an ecosystem.
No, it does.
doesn't it?
But I think the business community also needs to make sure they've got their right model, even for this downturn of taxation, what's happening now. But they need to look at their model of what they actually do in their entrepreneurial spark and field that they're going into. Look at the model and spend more time making that right and fit for purpose.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But most people would have said that was a good budget. Most employed people would have said that was a good budget.
That's the clever thing about it, isn't it?
But I came
The
home.
majority of the population are going, God, that was good.
If you walk in the pub on the Friday night
Yeah.
or Thursday night, everyone would have said,
Got
yeah,
a
that was
penny
good.
off a pint.
Hasn't changed anything. It's a bit cheaper.
But do you think most sensible people know that if you tax people to the hilt, tax
No.
businesses
I think
to the hilt?
I think when you're saying that you have got 2.4 million profit, people say it's all right, James can afford it. But you can't because of what we've just said about the capital that you've got to service. But when you're-
Here in the UK, it's not a good thing to be profitable. In America, it's a completely different vibe. But here, I walk along the village, and the village will sort of look at me as though, oh, that's all right for him. They don't like it.
The really interesting thing is that for the next 5 years, I think it's one of the official offices who've looked at the budget. They've said no one's going to be any better off.
the growth forecast isn't
That's
good.
right, for 5 years.
Yeah.
So within
I
the
think we've got-
term of
we're
this
looking at-
government,
1% or something.
there's
It
going
was
to
the
be
growth forecast.
no net benefit to anybody, just a
Right.
lot of people who are worse off.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're looking at 1.5% growth, which is
Yeah.
pitiful, isn't it? You get someone like China to give you, they can do 8% growth some years.
It is.
Yeah.
It is pitiful. But there will be opportures there as well.
Yeah,
As
He
much
is very
as this is-
motivational today.
No, I am. I'm telling you, there's going to be
Really
good stuff that comes somewhere.
Somewhere.
But I think there will be a lot of people that, the people that listen to this podcast and watch the YouTube channel, and us to a certain degree, are the rare motivational ones. But there'll be a lot of one-man bands that are going to find it very tough.
Very difficult, yeah.
But
And they are, lots of them become our customers.
yeah.
And that they're not, that's what I'm trying to say.
But I think also the one type of people that will solve it is the entrepreneurs and the business owners. Because let's be honest, they throw anything at you, COVID or whatever it is. There's something that
that's very
happens
true.
and we solve it. We change our model, we change our system, we advertise here, we buy there, and then we go on our merry way. Then they change the goalposts again and we cry.
I mean, 10 minutes ago, you were Dr. Death, but now you're
Oh,
Professor
yeah.
Rainbow.
This is it.
I think the way that the business community got to look at it is with positivity, because there is no option.
That is
we
absolutely
have no option apart from to forge on. And as an entrepreneur that takes risks and does things their way and they're in charge of their own world, that's it. That's the gig, baby. You've got to get on with it and do what you've got to do and make those changes. And it might be that you've got to look at different revenue streams, change your model.
Talking of models then, is there anything that you're going to be changing? Because obviously your commercial property, is it slowing down your plans? Is it speeding up your plans? Is it changing where your plans are based out of?
On commercial property, JB, we are full. with a waiting list, and we're currently building now for existing clients to expand into other spaces. So that particular, where we're situated as well in Chelmsford, artery routes to the Midlands and London, we sit well for that. And that we're small, light industrial, so 2,000, 3,000 square feet storage and distribution. You cannot find it in our location. You can go right up into sort of Leicester or somewhere and find something, but it's not in where the bounce is, and the bounce is from London. People want to be operating here, going into town. Now, some of that might change, but we're very lucky. On the Baddow Park site, we've got like 62 tenants, so 3, 4, 5 leave. It doesn't really affect us. And there's people on a waiting list to go back into those properties. And that's why we always banging on about, get pieces of commercial property under your belt. They are good yielders, and they're good stayers.
Especially in the southeast.
Yeah, southeast, definitely, yeah.
And what about you, Jimbo? Because I know you've got metrics that you operate under, especially because John mentioned a minute ago, the other way is that you trade out of this by going bigger and buying more stuff. Your whole metric is, it's got to do £1 million. It's got to have a location-based business. Has any of your thinking around the stuff you're now interested in changed?
Yeah, I think this will make me think very carefully about having businesses with lots of staff, unless they're very predictable. Look, I'm going to carry on going.
Well, of course, because you've got no
that's
choice.
who I am. But I think I will.
About attractions and stuff, has that become less, ironically, attractive?
No, I still want to do those things.
You do?
But I will.
So nothing's changed, you're just going to moan about it?
No, but the model will change in terms of, we're not going to be 365. We might only operate 90 days a year.
So what, you'll put the event on at spaces? Is that what you're...
So let me give you an example. So if you Marsh Farm, we will run our Father Christmas event, but we probably won't open November weekends just for shits and giggles anymore.
Right.
Which,
But does that not drive people to the bigger height? Because you talk about the most fruit, top fruit.
The reason we done that, I'll be honest with you, is to make sure that we've given jobs for our staff to keep some continuity. Right. No one really comes to us outside of it being an event. People go to attractions for Halloween, for Easter, for big events when you're putting on, the big event of whatever the theme might be. And that's what I've learned. But because we wanted to keep our staff happy and give more hours, but we are going to have to make some difficult decisions around the model. Like I was saying, no restaurant goes, let's only open 3 or 4 days a week. That is going to start happening. And that's the big changes that I'll be making.
One of the small little things that we've been looking at with some clients is salary sacrifice, and whether there's a way that you can basically give them something else to replace the salary to drop the NI. But I mean, it's such a small win, but for some of our clients, it is working. So we've started looking at that.
But we've sat down with our team. We have a team meeting every Tuesday with all the businesses. So all the managers come into that team meeting, and we have said, this is the problem. You've got departments that you need to solve this problem in. Go away, come back with ideas, and we'll talk about it next week and start looking at it and give your staff the upside of what the issue is. There's no good putting them in cotton wool. They need to know that these are the problems we've got ahead and get them creative, get them working on it.
I think the big thing that I would, like we've always said on the pod, is most people still don't produce management accounts. No. They manage their business by what cash is in the bank account. That's budgets. Most, isn't it? Isn't it most businesses, John, of your 4,500 clients, what have you got? How many of them produce really good management accounts and actually read and look at them and study them? We're talking very low single percentage, aren't we? Just know it's to be true. This stuff is how you can navigate storms, producing an MI, isn't it?
And I've already done my budgets for next year with the new people in the growth to say, well, if we hit this, we're fine. And we are. So the budgets and the forecasts are the thing at the minute you need to do.
Well, we was going to go straight on to GT. Sorry, not GT. What's the other? Inheritance tax and capital gains tax. But we are going to pause here to reflect on interesting fact or quote of the week.
Really?
There's going to be 4 for you this time, ladies and gents. So make sure you've got your interesting facts or quotes of the week. We'll start with you, JB.
You've got to have the jingle then.
Interesting quote.
Stop it. Stop. We didn't do a knock on the door. We need to keep it going.
Of course we do.
Is there a knock on the door?
It doesn't even make sense.
Interesting quote of fact. Interesting quote of fact.
Here we go, gang.
Interesting quote of fact. It's time for the interesting quote of fact of the week.
Are you going fact or quote, JB?
I'm going to go for a quote.
Oh, come on then. Hit me with your rhythm stick.
Right. Everybody is searching but who knows what they are actually looking for?
Wow, that's
Very, very Halloween, wasn't it?
Was it?
there we go. Where did you get that from?
I got that out of a book the
Yeah,
other day.
came
and I
from
thought it
a
was
cracker.
interesting.
It's the
So I
worst
wrote it
one
down.
you've ever said.
Okay, fine.
There we go. James Martin, do you want a little bit more time to think, or are you ready to go?
Oh, no. Listen, fact is.
Fact, you're going fact.
But I'm a tree guy, yeah?
Yeah, go on then.
Here we go.
So, from Portsmouth to Scotland, a squirrel could travel without touching the floor. Okay?
Really?
Yes, in the late 18th century.
Right.
Forestation
Yeah.
for the UK stands at 7.1%.
Right.
France, what do you reckon? France is 43% forestation.
No.
They have the biggest forestry operation and industry in Europe.
Right. Let's get some.
C'est pas de problème en français with the trees, oui?
So there's only 7% of forest in the UK.
Yeah.
If you don't slate in for this after you tell me half the time, you're like,
Well, I
"Oh,
think
we're
this is
talking
very
about-"
good.
What? How?
No, I think this is genuinely interesting.
I've done
Because
stuff about agriculture and fruit
it makes the
before.
arboricultural business in the UK totally shrunk because we've cleared out everything, turned it into farming, this, that, and the other, and now what's left is all protected. So the forest industry is tiny to when you look in France.
So we've got the UK's land mass, 7% of it is forest.
Yeah,
In France, it's 41%,
42%, I think it is. Yeah.
42%. So now a squirrel couldn't do that same journey.
No. They'd have to get a
wait,
roller
wait,
Get
skate.
wait.
over the road.
There we go. I think that genuinely is.
Yeah, no, it is.
Very. Why don't you like that?
And back in the day, James,
Yeah.
we went to France to buy equipment because they had better deals because they sold more equipment and they had better equipment. So you used to go to France and buy equipment from
I'm
there.
bloody sure. That's great. I love that. I think that's good.
Thanks, JB. Cheers.
Yeah, I think
Thanks
that's
for
good.
that.
Why didn't you like that?
I did not like it, but just some of the great facts that I brought to this conversation before and the
but when
slating
you
that I
watch
get.
the
And he's talking about
podcast-
1,800 squirrels.
When you watch the podcasts,
Here we go.
JB can get a bit moody. Seriously. Yeah.
I don't know
Okay, what are you
to
going
say.
with, John Holliday?
Well, seeing as I've eaten lots of your ice cream, it's a little
Yeah.
ice cream fact.
Yeah, go on.
The UK's love for ice cream goes back to King Charles II, who supposedly served frozen cream at a banquet in the 17th century.
Brilliant.
Who's
Not
with a
really
squirrel.
A business fact, though, is it?
I've been just on
It's a
interesting
business
facts.
show. I mean, that was a business because about the industry of forestry, but
Loosely.
Hold on a minute. Do you know there's £3 billion spent on ice cream every single year in the UK?
I need to be getting some more money
Yeah,
in,
there
don't
you
I?
go.
Right, I'm going to do fact and quote because I feel
okay.
I have to bring it back for you. My quote is:
Is
there's
he having
only
enough?
two things true in life: death and taxes, because we're doing a tax-based show. So that's my quote.
That's good. Okay, fine.
Okay, right. Here we go. I've got quite a few that I want to talk about.
He's lost himself there because an AliExpress deal just popped up on his phone.
No, did it really?
Lost
Hang
him.
on a sec.
He's gone.
What percentage of entrepreneurs applied for a loan to expand their business? What percentage do you think it
I've
is?
literally done this one before.
What was it?
41.
59%. How many millions of entrepreneurs do you think there are around the world? And this is from Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. That's a quick
Millions.
guess from you, JB.
Definitely legit.
No idea.
127.
See, we're in the wrong
127 people.
We're in the
Million.
wrong sector now.
Yeah.
For me, for the pod, you've bled across.
582 million is the answer.
He knows how many squirrels there are, though.
Yeah, there is. I like this. This is my last one because
Thank God for that.
What percentage of entrepreneurs are likely to report having a mental health condition?
3.
I reckon high.
It is high.
Is it?
I reckon
Is it
it's
really?
like
You could play higher or lower with this.
36.
50%.
No way.
Really?
Now, I can attest to this because I think you're an accountant.
Yeah. I cry regularly.
Do you?
No.
But you have a lot of clients that are the upper end of the scale probably come to you for a cuddle every now and then, don't they?
Yeah, and I go to people for cuddles as well. I think it is hard, isn't it?
It is bloody hard. And I've had lots of people that have done consultancy with me over the years. I've seen on the outside very successful people find it very, very difficult. And they probably give off a show that is underneath not so fun.
You've got no one to go to, have you?
No, it's a very lonely gig.
Well, you made a pod for it, didn't you? You did a YouTube video.
Yeah,
about it,
I
when
did,
you did the walk in your garden and stuff, and that resonated with me because it is lonely.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from it. It just is.
Because I think people don't really get us.
No.
That's why it's important. I think that you have friendships, like jokes aside, like your two little bromance. Like if you go on like a little Saturday, go around sites together. I think that's really important because like you two can prop each other up.
That is also very weird.
It
But that is strange, isn't it?
What is?
Well, me and you just going around looking at warehouses and sites.
Yeah, but they're nice, aren't they? Huge. I love a big warehouse. Who don't like a big warehouse?
Okay, well, that was interesting fact or quote of the week.
Fantastic. Cheers, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it massively. Do you want the jingle again?
Interesting quote.
Thank you very much.
Interesting
It
quote
was
of fact. Interesting
not our
quote
best
of
work.
fact. It's time for the interesting quote of fact.
I thought it was all right.
I thought everybody else was fine. It was only you because you didn't come up with nothing.
Okay, we
Talked
are
about
now.
squirrel.
Hey gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
We're going to move on to now talking about capital gains tax and what that means to business. So historically, a couple of weeks ago, if you sold a business, you'd pay 10% on the first million, then 20% after that if you got something that was formerly called entrepreneurs relief, changed to asset business disposal relief.
Yeah.
Lots of entrepreneurs and business owners, even if they didn't want to sell their business, they very much liked the cuddle in the terms of an idea or philosophy that if they sold their business, they would have a day after doing personal guarantees, putting their house on the line, not paying themselves, living for delayed gratification. It was a brilliant cultural philosophy thing that we had here in the UK. What is it now, John?
It's still there, isn't it? It's not as good, but it's still there.
No, and we all thought it was going to completely go, didn't we?
Go. So I think it's positive. Should we go for a positive?
Yeah, go on, let's go for it.
Well, no, it's still there. That was the positive, but it's now more.
It's not there as it was before, though.
No,
it
it's
has
not. It's
changed.
changed.
hasn't it?
So-
Corner.
Positive corner. So from the 6th of April, effectively, it's going to go up to 14%. So the 10% goes up to the 14% on the first million. And then from the 6th of April 2026, it's going to go up to 18%. So that first million, you're only going to get at the 18%.
But it used to be, John, 10 million.
Yeah, it did.
And I exhausted all of that back in the day, baby. That was brilliant.
So you got it on the whole 10 million.
The whole 10 million, yeah.
So he's exhausted that. So if he sells a business tomorrow, what rate's he now paying? Because the 20%'s gone up,
Yeah,
hasn't
so
it?
it's gone from, it used to be 10 and 20. So if you were a low basic rate taxpayer, it was 10%. If you were a high rate, it was 20. And now it's 18 and 24. So that came in immediately, though. So that's there now. That's done. So
if he sells a business now, he's paying 24%, not 20%.
And John, if I only exhausted 9 million and there was still a million left,
no, you've lost it now.
you've lost all of it because you've gone over a million.
Yeah.
Welcome to the John Holliday Motivational Monday
Thank you.
podcast.
I just
gave you
and
good
let me
stuff.
just go and jump off a bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Wow.
What's really sad about that is most entrepreneurs were rolling it over and putting it to work straight away anyway.
I mean,
weren't
there's
they?
still things you can do with tax planning.
So what would you do? Come on, what would you do with me?
So with you, I'd put it in a holding company and get the substantial shareholder exemption and pay zero tax because you would go and
it
buy more
belongs to the
businesses.
company,
Belongs
not
to the
you.
company, yeah.
Yeah.
But you would go and buy another 50 businesses and we'd go again, wouldn't you? So it'd work well for you. If it's a retirement sale, that isn't really going to work because effectively then the problem is they want the money to live. So with a retirement sale, you might look at financial products. So you might look at either paying the tax, depends what the tax is. You might say, well, bearing in mind if you're a husband and wife, you've got potentially 2 bites of the £1 million anyway, or the business asset disposal relief, haven't you? Because you might both claim it if you've both got shares in it. But then I guess we'd look at financial products, whether there's anything we can do with a VCT or an EIS. I mean, that's financial products, but we'd get financial advisors to look at it and see if there's any way of rolling over
just
some of the
quickly,
gain.
without getting too technical, what's the advantages of those?
So basically, they're financial products that you would get a 30% tax reducer and you roll over the CGT gain on there. So
we sell our business for 2 million quid.
you could invest. They've both got different limits. I think VCT's 200. I think, and I can't remember what EIS is. But
and then that comes off of your annual tax.
Yeah, your annual tax. So you'd get the tax reducer on it. So there would be things you could do. There's also rollover relief if you're going to invest into another business. But I guess if it's a retirement, you're not. Alternatively, you probably just pay the tax, go off in the sunset.
So could you use, if you'd sold a business for 2 million, could you pay no CGT and roll it all over?
Potentially, but you'd have to buy us. And normally we use rollover for things like commercial properties. So if you were going to sell a commercial property in your own name, not through a limited company, then you'd look to use rollover relief to buy another one. So typically if someone was selling this property to grow into a bigger factory, for example, you use rollover to move the gain over into the next one. So yeah, I think there's still things out there. I just think, one thing, that's probably the next section.
Do you think you're going to get an influx of people who all of a sudden are going to buy commercial property, then having zero interest in it previously, because then at least they could pay themselves out of that limited company because they've rolled over?
I don't think so, because I think people
you're just
want the money.
moving the problem along, though,
it's
aren't
only
you?
4%, isn't it?
You're just literally moving the problem along.
I
Especially if you're doing a retirement.
Rollover relief does work. Is that example there? You've got a smaller factory, you need a bigger factory, and the government are not paying you by paying tax to buy your bigger factory to grow the economy.
But if you're doing a retirement sale to then go off and buy your yacht or whatever you want to do, to get that money out of any of these models you're saying, you're going to still pay heavy taxes to get the cash in your hand.
24%. If you did it for a share for share, if you put it into substantial shareholder, then you'd have to work a way to extract the money out of the company over a number of years, or you'd have to, so then you are locking the money up. I mean, the one thing I would say is, bearing in mind, the papers were saying it was going to be 47%. We were all, so in a way, when they said 24, I was like, oh, that's quite good.
Probably
that was part of their
stories. Do you think they see those negative stories?
That was PR spin. That was spin.
Yeah, I think they get you so depressed that then when you announce it, you think, oh, that's good. It's only 40 billion. That's all right. That's all right.
Just, let's quickly move on to inheritance tax, because this is a big change for trading businesses. I mean, first of all, what's happened with farming, there's lots of people that have abused that system. James Dyson is one of the biggest landowners here in the United Kingdom. And he's been buying farmland because he knows that it's IHT free. Well, not no more, sunshine. They've just changed that. But it does punish those farmers that are genuinely farming, are being family farmers for a long amount of time. Yeah. And really they should have said you can't do it for investment, shouldn't they? And
I think they're going to struggle to get the finance as well. Like, you know how hard it is to raise finance when you're trying to do these deals. I appreciate there's good land that you can leverage against, but do people really want to leverage against it when the new son or daughter's inheriting the farm and they haven't really got the farming experience? I mean, is the bank really going to say, yeah, we'll give you the £2 million loan to pay the inheritance tax bill? I don't know. I think there's going to be big problems with that.
No, but if you look at the James Dyson thing, obviously a man generating many millions of pounds, he's parking his cash there to avoid inheritance tax. Obviously, and he's one of many that have done that high net worth individuals. Yeah. But people that are genuinely trading.
Yes, card.
But it's not just farmers, is it? So if you own a hotel, you've been running it for 200 years as a family. Now,
if you owned any business, any business you could pass on effectively tax-free, as long as it wasn't an investment business. So as long as it was a genuine trading business, you could pass it on. So if you owned Kellogg's, you'd just be saying, here you go, son, or daughter, here's my shares to Kellogg's. And it would just pass on tax-free as a trade. But now it's going to be, well, Kellogg's is worth 100 million and we want 20 million of it or whatever.
Who decides what that business is worth?
I don't know.
They haven't said that.
I think that's going to be, well, I mean, I guess you would do it on your IHT 400 form or whatever it is, the form that you submit.
I'll just say my hotel's only worth £1.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of challenges on it. And I said this to someone the other day, because the practicalities of it is you're going to go to your accountant, you're going to come to me and say, well, hopefully you don't die and I'll probably be dead before you. But on that grounds, let's go with not that.
Positivity.
Yeah. You're going to come to me and you're going to say, can you fill out my IHT 400 form? And I'm going to say, yeah, your company's worth the lowest value it can be worth, aren't I? It seems to be a conflict of interest on the valuation. I appreciate it's got to be the right valuation.
But for families, this is a big thing, isn't it? Because dad dies, mum dies, and then all of a sudden, on a really sad day for a family, they've now got
to find this.
Potential horrific tax bill, which is only tied up in assets.
But also, the one thing I would say as well is if we used you as the example, how much is it worth with you not at the helm? Because that's a massive thing. You've lost the driving force. Potentially, you've lost one of the biggest parts of that business. How much is Pocknell's worth if I'm not there to push it forward? I don't know. I mean, it would still run. Would it grow as much? Probably not.
That's a very good point.
It's how you value it without that person there, because they're key people.
So at the moment, if you've got a trading business, it's worth 10 million quid, and you die, you are into 20% of the value of that 10
so
million.
it's £1 million that you get, and then it's effectively 20%. Yeah, it's the rate. So you'd probably have 9 million at 20%.
So you got to find 1.8 million.
The thing I would say is bearing in mind that you still get the spouse allowance. So effectively,
But just saying that, this just all about the kids.
yeah, the
here.
kids 1.8 million. So I think what you've got to do on that is you've got to look at, because typically we would, when we're doing inheritance tax planning, we'd say, oh, it's a business, die with that, is what we'd say to the parents, because it resets the CGT.
Yeah, that's what we've always spoken. We've
Always
had
said that.
many conversations.
Cheery John.
Let's buy the hotel. Let's not buy, because that's why we're thinking about the industrial side. That's all investment. I
So it
know
doesn't-
that
yeah.
my kids would have to pay IHT on that. I've
Yeah.
accepted that. But when I bought this place, I thought, oh, yeah, I've got this big building. It's a trading business. No IHT. It can carry on should I die. Now,
Yeah, we haven't got that.
and what are people going to take insurance policies out? But they're going to get pricey, aren't
So I
they?
think what they'll do is they'll probably look to gift earlier. So we'll be doing inheritance tax planning where we're saying to a 60-year-old business owner, should we gift this to the children now? Should we be doing this now and taking an insurance policy out to cover, it's called a PET, potentially exempt transfer.
Yeah.
Should we be taking the policy out to cover the 7 years? Because at 7 years, someone's going to back you for it.
See,
at 60.
that would work to do that early.
But there's still stamp duty and capital gains tax that needs to be considered. So it's not
Even
completely
by
tax.
gifting it.
Yeah, it's not tax free. I mean, you might be able to use holdover for the gift. I mean, it's all.
But
I'm just giving you the worst case. It might be ways around it, but you've still got taxes to consider when you're doing that transaction.
But to be controversial, right? To just put it out there, do you care? How much do you love your children? They're going to get all this given to them, but do you care? How much do you care? They're going to have taxes
Do you
to
know
pay.
what I care about, though, James Martin? Is my senior management team that have helped me build it.
Yeah, that's
and if
true,
I
yeah.
disappear, what happens to them?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
that's a material change for teams. People that have worked for, you got Sylvie. She's worked for this family hotel for 30 years, and all of a sudden, does that hotel have to get sold at a quick fire sale? I mean, it's those.
There is
Is it good for our economy? That's the.
Oh no, it's
There is,
not good. No.
There is maybe, again, a bit of positivity. There might be some good things to come out of it, though, because we have lots of conversations with mum and dad who are saying, no, we don't want to give them the business. We'll wait till we die. And you're like, the business is just trundling along. Like this business, you've got the young kids there chomping at the bit to go and do a TikTok video or whatever it is to explode this video. Mum and dad are like, no, I've done it like this for 50 years. We're going to keep doing it. This granddad
That
did
is
it like
true.
this.
That is true.
So I'm hoping that by doing this, you might actually get better businesses. But again, who knows? I'm so positive.
But the other thing is as well. I think families are reticent to give it to their kids because they're worried that they're going to get divorced, and what does that cause for?
But there's protection you can do on that. But yeah, I agree. Again, that's one of the things when we're giving the advice, we're saying, oh, you don't want to give it to a 20-year-old. They're not settled. They haven't got married, we all make mistakes and have bad girlfriends or boyfriends, don't we, in this world?
And also the thing about how long we're all living. When do you do it? Do you do it in your 70s?
No.
You're going to live to 90? Like my mum's 96,
So when you're how old are you, James?
62.
So really,
God, he
his
looks
advice,
well for it, doesn't he?
he looks
looks
good.
good for it, doesn't he? Jesus.
So would you be giving your kids your business right now?
No.
So you wouldn't take, because he's your accountant as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you think you're not going to take that advice, and I think there'll be a lot of people that won't take that advice. So you would rather your kids pay the full inheritance tax bill.
Yeah. I do view it differently. They're going to inherit a lot of stuff. If there's taxes to pay, then they'll have to pay them. But I'm not going to let that be dominant into my business career because I don't want to give up or retire. I just want to carry on building businesses till I drop off the perch.
And it might change.
But what about in the instance where you've got like a farm, for example, and everything's tied up in the asset? You're going to have to realise the asset to pay the bill at some point, aren't you? And I know it's like £1 million, which if you're up north somewhere, you go, well, that's loads of money. But down here, that's an acre of land, isn't it? It's not a lot of space.
In that instance, that is a problem. But the stuff I have has revenue and profit, so that it wouldn't be that case.
That is the big thing. It's people that are asset rich and the business doesn't generate cash flow, which are a lot of businesses, isn't there? That
And I mean, yeah, there are. It's going to be tricky.
Farms being the obvious one that comes to mind.
I think the key thing is that you've got to look at the other thing is whether you leverage the business to make it not as valuable. You might end up leveraging the business and giving away loans to children. I don't know. There's lots of ways of looking at this in a different...
Do you know what I think is really sad about it? Or I'll just clogging in my head here. We've got a £10 million business. You've got a £1.8 million inheritance tax bill. The bank goes, yeah, the business is affordable. Yeah, we'll lend you the money to do that. But then that doesn't get invested in the business to grow the business, to buy that next piece of machinery, or which is not good for jobs, not good for innovation.
Your profit's not 2.4, it's got to be 3.6 to service or whatever it is. Yeah. So then you've got to put more pressure on that business to make more profit to service the debt.
I mean, look, my view is that governments are not good at frugally spending taxpayers' money. No. They successively have proved they cannot do it. Look at HS2, they just can't do it. Look at the Millennium Dome. They are not good at infrastructure projects. They just, because everyone's got an agenda and an opinion, and
it's not their money.
And that's why the private sector should be the people that do these capital infrastructure products. I just... Anything else to say?
But the entrepreneurial side of what we're doing in the UK is not helped. I can't see where it's helped at all by the government. And you look at somewhere like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they're full on trying to create new entrepreneurial sparks in people. They're doing funds, they're doing loans, they're trying to do brand building. China, look at China. They're trying to get brands, global brands out of China because they know how that is effective for their economy on the long term. And we're stifling people's drive to do it because you're taxing them right at the first gate. And it's not good. And we're different. We're made differently because we just forge ahead regardless, just crack on. But you're definitely going to hold people back.
Do you know one of the most interesting things that China do? They give you a 3% rebate for the value of whatever you export.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Mm-hmm. So if you're a business, you're a factory and you make stuff and you export £1 million, you get 30 grand back. Mm-hmm. So once you start exporting 10 million, you get 300 grand back. And then all these Chinese entrepreneurs, they take all that money and just invest it back into a bigger factory and bosh. And why are they the biggest factory in the world? Because of that. Mm-hmm. Why don't we do stuff like that? Well, could you imagine what would happen to our export business? How much we would make stuff on those little tax incentives? It would explode.
The motivation from doing that is incredible.
We've had good businesses come in the past and say we want to set up here and give us a tax, whatever. Tesla were ones, weren't they? They said we want to set up here, and it never got happened. And you think they would be good companies to have here. The employment.
Do you know, if I was Prime Minister and I found out that Tesla wanted to be, I would be like, clear my diary, we're making that happen. That should be the primary focus because you get more jobs, more economy. You can pay for the potholes and the police and stuff. Anyway, lovely. For a podcast that we always say we don't do religion and politics, we do always seem to do
religion and politics and investment advice. We've done a lot of that tonight.
We don't do investment advice.
We don't do investment advice. The other thing on inheritance tax is the pension. That's a big change as well.
Oh yeah, what's the change on the pensions? Because you've always been so pro pensions, and I've always been be your own pension. So has it improved pensions?
Yeah.
Has it? No, it hasn't. Has it? No, it hasn't. Has it?
No, it hasn't,
what have they changed on your precious pension?
Well, no, it's not as good anymore, is it? So it's a bit they've said basically that on death now it's going to go. So again, second death, so it would be going. You need to make sure it goes to your spouse first. Then after your spouse, it goes to the children. But at that point, it's going to come into the inheritance tax calculations effectively. So before it didn't. But then the worst part is you're also paying, I forgot what it's called, but you're paying the tax on drawing the money out as well. So effectively, you're going to be paying, I think it's 56% or something as an effective rate of tax on that pension part of the
Wow, sorry, one more time.
So I think you're paying the 40% and then you're paying the 40% on the 40% if you're a 40% higher.
When you die.
Yeah.
But one of the big changes that they muted, and I think will come in, because they have leaked this, but I think they thought it was too much. You can take your lump sum at 55, isn't it? That's tax-free.
Yeah.
Up to...
It's uncapped now, the pensions. There is a cap on that, isn't there? 200, and I don't know, I'm an accountant, I'm not a financial advisor.
I read in the FT that they were going to start taxing people on the amount that they draw down on that lump sum. Yeah. And I can't believe they didn't go for that. Well, because... it would have upset a lot of people, but I think that would have got them a lot of money, wouldn't it?
The problem was they lost the lifetime allowance. So again, when they took the lifetime allowance on pensions, it used to be like I say, I'm accountant, not financial advisor, but it used to be about £1 million. They've said now it's uncapped, haven't they, on the pension lifetime allowance. I think people were loading it up as an inheritance tax. Basically, it was outside your estate, put 4 million in it, and you can give it to your
but
children.
they will get it now.
They'll get it now. So I guess that's why they've done it.
So if your pension is worth £2 million on the day you die,
Yep, goes into your estate. You pay the 40% tax on it, and then I think your children would pay the 40%, or depending on what rate they pay, but they'd pay tax on the drawdown as well. So
if you had a £2 million pension pot when you've died,
yeah, I don't actually know the sums, but I think it would be 1.6, and then you'd pay 40% on the 1.6. So 40% inheritance tax, and then 40% personal tax as well, effectively. So it's going to be bad.
Well, okay.
But you do get the tax relief on putting the money in.
Okay.
Hey, I get the tax relief on putting the money in. There you go.
There we go. Just quickly, how many people, do you know anyone moving to Dubai or thinking about leaving?
Loads.
What about you, Jay?
I don't know anybody personally, but I'm hearing it. I'm hearing that.
Well, you do know people at the dinner, don't you?
Oh no, the dinner. Yeah, there is 3 or 4 are left from the dinner. Yeah.
So we do this.
I don't really get the appeal of it. Do you?
No.
Sit in the sun and just get roasted. No culture. No nothing going on out there. It doesn't do it for me. I go there once a year for a holiday, but I like England. It's nice.
He likes his
like
trees.
the rain. I like the trees.
Do you know what? A
and the rain.
squirrel can never run across Dubai on a treetop. That's a little known fact there. Never done it.
What about you, John? Have you got clients considering moving?
Yeah, we've definitely had a few go. So Portugal.
They've reduced all the advantages, haven't they?
I have now, yeah. But I mean, we had a few go.
That was a good one, wasn't it? Because you can get there in a couple of hours, can't you?
Yeah, come back quick. But yeah, I think people will look to it. I mean, I can see the advantages to it. Tax is getting quite. But to be fair, the tax rates haven't gone up personally, have they? So that incentive hasn't really changed.
But do you know the UK had the biggest exodus of millionaires in Europe last year?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's an absolute fact. And Italy, scooping them up. They're doing a special deal for people with money in Italy.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Everyone knows that the UAE is a tax haven, and that's why a lot of people go there. But actually, when you've got Portugal and Italy going, it's quite handy having these entrepreneurs and super successful people driving our economy come to us.
I was chatting to GT earlier, so obviously you were doing this business buying this class, and I was talking to Simon from GT, and he said to me that actually the UK is still considered one of the best places to do business. Partly because of the legal system, partly because of the fact that actually when we left Europe, in his opinion, the clients that they deal with, they actually thought that enhanced the UK market, which I don't understand why, but he said it just meant that they could trade to other countries a lot easier, effectively. So there must still be people that want to do it.
Yeah, I think I've always said this, I think the UK is the biggest untapped opportunity in the world. I do believe that we've got a brilliant legal system, banking, financial, transport.
Grant Thornton, when we spoke to the guy, what was the guy's name?
Stuart
was saying that his sales are mainly to America and out of England. And they're coming here because the legal system's great. There's an established banking system, and it's safe to go and bring this money into this country and invest in the UK business sector. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Just quickly on alternative finance, I was speaking to a Canadian venture capital company, just slanging off the UK a bit here, that wanted to raise some money to buy a business. They got their own money, but they always want to put debt finance in. They could not believe how much debt finance is on the alternative lenders compared to Canada. So he said, I can borrow from an alternative lender that would like to lend money to private equity firms 1% more than a bank. But here, it's like 5% more than a bank. You're borrowing at 10, 11%
maybe
APRs.
7 or 8%
whereas
more than
HSBC would be 6 or 7%. So there's a big, clear difference. And he said that is one thing the UK is not good at compared to America, North America, Canada. They are much more aggressive in doing private equity deals at lower rates of finance.
But they've probably got bigger scale. I mean, that's the thing. The banks are probably, if they're turning over.
Not Canada, 28 million in Canada. Yes, America, but I suppose
But
Canada.
I mean the turnover. So if you're, America, if you're turning over 100 million, which is quite common in America, you don't get many that turn over 100 million here. 10 million's almost good here. So, I mean, on those size deals, the percentage would be, they'd still be making loads of money, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he was talking about Canada, though, in that scenario.
Lots of trees there.
Lots of trees there, but much smaller economy than the UK. It's time for the next feature of the show. What is it, JB?
It's time for the business quiz. You'll like this. Have you never heard this jingle before?
It's Jim versus JP.
So I have, yeah.
Friends.
The quiz is businessy, business knowledge, and it's fun. Which one's clever and which one's dumb? Izzy Wizzy, let's get quizzy.
Izzy Wizzy, let's get quizzy. Thank you,
Okay.
Chuds. Confidential.
So it's not our usual smart envelope because we've had to do this on the fly. It's confidential.
Number one.
Number one. Okay, in here is a business fact, isn't there?
There is.
And you have to guess a higher or lower number. Cool, this is like concrete, this envelope. There we go. Let's open it up. Okay, guys. Okay.
Tighter than Rachel Reeves'
look
tax
at
purse
this.
strings. Here we go. Oh, here we go.
Oh, look, we put a tree quote in there. How many trees are there in the world? How many trees are there in the world?
How many squirrels are there? So I can work it out.
How do we know how many trees are in the world?
Because James Martin has counted all of them. There's a lot of black walnut. Look at the pensive look on his face. How many trees are there in the world?
I mean, it's an
Sinclair's-
interesting. It's got nothing to do with business.
He's
again,
fuming.
isn't it?
He's absolutely livid.
It's turning into the Alan Titchmarsh show here. So we got. This is what I think. We've got 8 billion people that live on the planet. This is how I work it out and see if.
5 trees for each person?
Do you think it's that?
Don't know, it might be.
It's more than that, isn't it?
What, more than 5 trees a
All right,
person?
well, I'm just going to have a stab at the.
Got it.
He's got it. He's got it, everybody. Don't worry. Tree-based
Okay.
Carol Vorderman has got it.
Okay, I'm going to write down everyone. You can't change when you hear people's guesses, by the way. So you've got to stick.
You're the worst for this. You go first then.
Okay, I'll go
you
first.
always
No,
cheat.
you're the worst for it.
No.
You're the worst for it. You go, oh, that's what he's guessing. I'll go 10
No, I do
around him.
not do that at all.
I'm going to go 16 billion.
16 billion trees. Award-winning entrepreneur
Well,
James Sinclair's gone 16 billion trees.
Does this include trees and garden centres?
Oh, that's a very good point. We don't know,
Don't know how
John. We
get
don't
these
know.
facts. James Bird, what are you going for?
I am going to go for. I'm going 80 billion trees. I think there's 10 trees per person. Standard. How many trees are there in the UK? A squirrel could run across one in the 1800s. Did you not hear him earlier? You didn't even listening.
I'm going
Okay,
96 billion.
96 billion. See, you've been influenced by him, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I was
No,
there
you
already.
can't do that.
I already
Yeah.
worked it out, but
Go
I think
on.
I did the sums wrong. I did 12 times 8 and it
It's a
wasn't
good
that,
advert for
so
you
that
as an
was good.
accountant there, John.
Yeah.
Well done. He's
Yeah,
done the
okay.
sums wrong. Fantastic.
Okay, James Martin has spent a life.
130 billion.
I like how he said it. Like he knows this fact. Okay.
I'm completely out then, I think, aren't I? At 16 billion.
This might be the worst showing from Sinclair ever.
Wow.
Oh my God.
No way. You couldn't even make it up.
The answer is around 3 trillion with
Wow.
a T.
Wow.
Trillion. 3
Oh, very
trillion.
good. Yeah.
There are estimated to be 73,300 distinct species currently known, but around 15 billion trees are cut down
not
every year. Not all by James Martin, it says here.
Thank you. I won.
But a good percentage of them been cut down by James Martin.
Yeah, I think.
What a number, though. That's brilliant.
You are.
The winner?
Yeah, you are the
that's
winner.
yeah.
You are the winner, but you were only 2.8 trillion out.
Yeah.
Still the winner, though. He can take it.
We haven't got your.
Congratulations,
we haven't
No
got
cup.
your- no, but we'll superimpose the cut in the edit. There
Put
you
your
go.
hand flat. Put your hand flat. There you go. Oh, it looks lovely there, doesn't it?
Well, there we go, gang. Not our regular show here on the business broadcast. This has been more of a tax update, and hopefully you will be alive to listen to the next one, because a lot of people don't want to be here anymore, or staying here in the UK as we all fight it out together.
Yeah.
I think, which is the moral of the story. We will get through this, guys. You are your own economy.
Yes. Bit of motivational advice from each panel member.
Okay, yeah, come on then. We'll start
Come on,
with
James Martin.
Yeah.
You've got to do your environment with your team and make profit to take the bad times. And we are going through a bad time. So you need to get that model right. And you can do it. You just got to do those extra, you say it all the time, those extra half, 1% extras. Go the extra mile. Do it. I love it. And enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. You seem like a happy guy.
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah.
That's good.
What about you, John?
I'm happy.
What are you going to...
I'm gonna,
His marketing guy is going to be delighted with this show. It's just joy.
Yeah, I'm going to do my budgets and my forecasts, and I'm going to do them from the bottom up. So I'm going to work out what profit I need, and I'm going to put all my costs in, and I'm going to work out what turnover I need, and then I'm going to go out and get the sales that we need to do it.
James Sinclair, what are you doing?
I think, remember the thing I always talk about, which is the 3 KPI rule, and possibly thinking with the end in mind to reverse engineer things. That does make a difference. But the 3 KPI rule, know your average customer value, work on growing your ACV, not necessarily your revenue, because if you get that right, then you will increase the profitability of your business. Number 2, your labor to turnover ratio. Find out what your industry standard is for your labor to turnover ratio, and work out what you need to change about the model to make sure you stick with that, because you can't just keep on eroding your margin, because that's a race to the bottom. That's a race to the bottom. And then the third, I know I never tire of saying this, but most people still don't bother doing it, is you must produce a monthly profit and loss. Don't your annual accounts tell you where you are for a tax position, but your monthly profit and loss, manage your business.
And they're prepared 9 months after your year end normally, so it's so out of date by the time you get them. Do you know, I want to go and buy businesses. So many people they just don't know what they're making. I have to go back to my accountant to find out, and I think,
is that not a red flag for you?
No, it's great.
No, that should be good.
I think, the ones that know what they're doing, they know their numbers. They know them inside out and upside down, and they're the ones that don't really buy it.
But James, you grow into that scenario. I sit with my PA there and my bookkeeper there, and I just have a swivel chair between the two of them to work on what we're doing, what the numbers are. Every day I'm in the office, so I know exactly what we're owed and what's going on with every penny. And you've got to do that to survive, because you've got to know it intimately. It's got to be like your intimate friend.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, JB?
Oh, don't worry about me. I just sacked everyone, didn't I?
No. But
do you know what? The one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm realigned with what it is I actually want to create for my life. Because I think you can really easily get so far down the rabbit hole. Like you're too far gone now. Like you're in. Like you ain't got no option. I've got all the options in the world. I could decamp to Dubai. I could go move the whole family to Dubai. I could run everything remotely and skip off into the sunset. And everyone, but from how much money do you make? It's the sunset. The sunset behind the ship. It's the sunset. So I'm just going to realign my vision of what I want for my life and build the business that facilitates that. So I think I think it's a good opportunity.
I'm jealous that you can say that sometimes. It's so nice that you can be in that position. Whereas when you build a monster, even though I say I control my monster, but to a point.
Yeah.
But you could really go and do whatever you like.
I could, I could skip off into the sunset at any given point and build the business that I really want. And I think everyone should do that.
There will be positive things, though.
Yeah,
it's not all doom and gloom. I think there'll be some good deals.
It could have been a lot worse. That's the ultimate.
That's what they want. That's with that PR spin. That's what they want everyone saying.
I think they bloody do.
Oh, could have been worse. Could have been better as well, couldn't it? But there you go.
It could have been. Listen, guys, we'll still be here to be that entrepreneurial cuddle that you need to help growing your business. I'd like to say a massive thank you to James Martin. You go and check him out on Twitter. Not Twitter, on Instagram. He's making videos.
I love your videos.
Dyslexic James, yeah.
What, give us your handle.
Dyslexic James Martin, Dyslexic James. I'll be there every day.
It's not all of them, though. It's just one of those.
James Martin.
You can find it on both.
It's a paragraph.
Thanks for making it super difficult for people who can't spell to find you.
No, I think,
on brand.
What are you, Dyslexic James Entrepreneur or Dyslexic James Martin?
He don't know.
Dyslexic James.
Dyslexic James.
Thank you for that clarity.
John, where can people find out about you if they want some motivational accountancy advice?
It is motivational.
No, I think you've been good today.
You have.
Thank you. Have I been motivational?
Yeah.
Good. Popnals. So,
Are you on Instagram?
Well, I think so, yeah. I'm not personally.
You're on LinkedIn, though, aren't you?
Yeah, we're all on that.
Yeah, John Holliday as an individual.
I'm on there, yeah.
Yeah, John Holliday on LinkedIn. Yeah. What's Chad's laughing now?
We've got TikTok if you want to come and watch some videos of people getting pushed around in chairs.
Chad's has lost it, hasn't he?
I didn't know if it was Popnals. There we go. And then JB, if people want to, they know us, don't they?
Yeah,
they know
us.
us.
We'll see it twice more this week, probably.
You'll be pleased if you've liked this edition. We will try and add these two, Ant and Deck, to the Morecambe and Wise in more regular shows.
Chuckle Brothers.
I'm laughing at Chance. He can't control it in the back. Thanks for listening, gang. See you real soon.
Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.